morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Here's Tim to start the service.
And good morning, everybody. How are you? I just like to take a moment and just to breathe for a moment and just kind of calm down, take a deep breath, let it out, just to breathe into the now. Let everything kind of go, kind of begin to loosen up a little bit. Let the chatter in the back of your mind begin to settle down a little bit. I'd like to take a minute to welcome you all to Unity of Michiana, and for those of you online, we welcome you as well, and thank you for watching. And thank you guys for getting out into the cold weather and making the trek all the way here. We appreciate you being here today. So we're going to go over our mission statement and our core values. So our mission: to connect as spiritual community focused on universal truths to transform lives. And we honor inclusivity, compassion, individuality, authenticity, and curiosity. And we practice gratitude, connection, meditation, affirmative prayer, self-compassion, and serving others. Today is December 1st, so we will be singing happy birthday to all those who have December birthdays here in just a little while. So if there's anybody online, if you would type in the message box over to Susan, she will momentarily, we will gather everybody up here in front and sing happy birthday to everybody. And right now I'm going to introduce Chrissy.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for the welcome to everyone. Reverend Sandy is taking a long weekend, so Tim and I are tag teaming the platforming today, and later on you're going to hear a message from Lisa Greco. So right now I'm going to light the Christ candle, excuse me, which is the center of our being. It's the light among all of us. And as I light that, please think about that, and then we'll do an opening prayer. Dear sweet Spirit, we are blessed with this first day of December, with this first Sunday of the month, to be able to gather together here in this sacred space, here together through the ethers of the internet. We are grateful for your presence among us, uplifting us and holding us. We know that the message and the music delivered today by many, the hands that prepared for this service, are blessed beyond belief. And we are grateful for this time that we share together. We know that we will be inspired and lifted up as we begin this day, this week, this month, together. Amen. So now we're going to talk about Advent, because as I said in my prayer, that today is December 1st, but it's also the first Sunday of Advent. And in Unity, Advent is seen as an exploration of faith, an inner search of the mind and heart, at a time for us to reflect and celebrate the birth of each one of us and our individual Christ consciousness. In the next 4 weeks, we'll reflect and celebrate each theme of Advent. The 4 themes proclaim the aspects of our divine nature, and they are hope and faith, peace, love, and joy. Today, as we light the first candle of Advent, it's going to be hope and faith. And I ask Misty and Elena to come up to light the candle. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so as we light this candle, it helps us to draw into the season of expectation, reflection, and change, to celebrate the coming arrival of the divine Christ born in all of us. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And now, excuse me, I want to read the Advent scripture. And thy life shall be clearer than the noonday, though there be darkness. It shall be morning, and thou shalt be secure, because there is hope. And please share with me the Advent affirmation together. I am open to the uplifting power and presence of God's infinite Spirit, flowing through me to light the way with hope and inspiration. And now we will have the blessing of the children.
Okay, I got to stay here by the mic, but I ask you to rub your hands together. And we say together, we see and acknowledge the light of God in you. We see and acknowledge the light of God in you. And we honor and bless you.
And we honor and bless you.
There you go, thank you. So it is time to sing Happy Birthday. Anybody in the room have a birthday in December? Come on up.
Yay.
Anybody online, Susan?
No, but I want to mention Karen Pedler, Sandy Vanek,
Oh, yeah.
Reverend Sandy,
and Katrina Andrews.
Katrina Andrews. What was the first one? I'm sorry.
Karen Pedler.
Karen Pedler.
Yes.
And I would also like to include myself in that.
And Patty.
Patty. No?
Your birthday in December?
She knows one.
November. Sorry.
Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, so John, whenever you are ready, we'll sing Happy Birthday to us. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to us. God is blessing us now. God is blessing us now. God is blessing us, you are wonderful. God is blessing us now. John, I'll turn it over to you.
All righty. That's a beautiful song. Something that the lyrics are something I always need to constantly remind myself of because I tend to be self-critical. As you guys probably know a little bit about that. Wonders lie waiting in your mind's eye as you believe you will achieve as you believe you will achieve. As you believe, with great clarity, choose your destiny. Many perceive boundaries, thy possibilities. As you believe, you will achieve. As you believe, you will achieve. As you believe. I have this moment, I have this dream, blended together reality. I have this power, it's here in my hands. I'm living the visions, it's love that I am flowing. I have this moment, I have this dream, blended together reality. I have this power, it's here in my hand. I'm living my vision, it's love that I am flowing. I am flowing. I am flowing.
Thank you, John. That was lovely. Yeah. So, good morning again, and today we're going to have Sue DeRusse read our daily word. It's a publication that comes online in the mail. You can also receive it in your email. Been around for 100 years, yeah. So here's Sue to read our daily word.
Good morning. The word today is hope and faith. Inspired by hope and assured by faith, I begin my Advent journey. As Advent begins, I welcome the opportunity to reflect more deeply on what I hope for and what I affirm in my life. Hope is a seed, a possibility. My divine faculty of imagination allows the seeds of hope to sprout. Nurtured by faith, the seeds take root and grows from I hope to I believe. I may have once hoped God would help me. Now I have faith that through the Christ within, I can help myself. I may have once hoped for the life of my dreams, but now I have faith that I can create the life that I want through the power of my feelings and thoughts. I believe. I mindfully use these words at the start of my Advent journey and beyond. From Corinthians 1:27, to them God chose to make known how great among the Gentiles are the riches of the glory of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Thank you.
And now it's time for our meditation. I've done this a few times, and today it's perfect because it's the first day of December, and Unity, our Unity Worldwide Headquarters publishes every month, at the beginning of the month, a prayer service, and you can access this online on our website. I've also left copies out in the foyer, so you can pick up a copy to take home and use it in your prayer practice this week. So I'm going to use this as my script, but I invite you now to settle into your chair at home or here. Take a couple of deep breaths. Softly close your eyes or soften your focus to your inner self, to your inner being. Calming that monkey mind, calming the busyness of today, the busyness of the weekend past, the lists of tasks that we have to do next week as we go back to work, start our regular routines. We use this sacred time in meditation to touch in to that still small voice that each of us have. I'll ring the singing bowl with the resonance of the heart chakra. Tap into that sound that reverberation, that it sets your intention for today, for this time, for this week, as I ring the singing bowl. We honor the divine spark within each one of us, the essence of Christ consciousness. We celebrate Jesus as the embodiment of this divinity, whose life exemplified a spiritual path grounded in love, compassion, and service. As we embark on this prayerful journey today, this week, this month, we focus on cultivating peace, light, and life within ourselves and in the world around us. I walk the path of peace, my true nature. Divine peace is my essence, the pathway to my true self. God, the wellspring of tranquility, resides within my mind. Peace is born anew within me every moment. Grounded in this peace, I recognize my oneness with the divine and claim peace as my inherited birthright. This peace is the bedrock upon which I build thoughtful actions and purposeful living. Rooted in the silence, we take a breath, holding thus in our hearts, listening to the still small voice. As we breathe, divine wisdom is my guiding star. Guided by the celestial compass of divine wisdom, I journey through life. Inspired by the timeless wisdom of sages, I follow the illuminating path of truth. When faced with challenges, I turn inward to seek clarity and guidance. The star of divine wisdom shines perpetually, illuminating my path day and night. Rooted in wisdom, I begin my journey. As we take a deep breath in and release, we are filled with divine wisdom, the star always guiding us. And a deep breath in and release. God is the life force within me. I affirm God is the source of my well-being. This divine life force is expressed in every aspect of my existence. Whenever concerns about health arise, I focus on God's infinite life, permeating every cell of my body. With each moment of spiritual awareness, life is renewed within me. I know with certainty that God is the essence of our lives. As we pray in the silence with a deep breath in and a release, and a deep breath in and exhalation, abundance fills me with joy. My heart overflows with a sense of boundless possibilities. Gratitude and joy dance together in my mind as I contemplate the blessings that surround me. With each appreciative thought, I experience a fresh outpouring of abundance, a divine current that originates within my own being. I embrace the understanding that all things are attainable through the limitless power of God, and I rejoice. I rejoice with a deep breath in, touching in to that still small voice. An inhalation in and a release breath. The Christ born in me is a blessing to all. The Christ consciousness, an intrinsic part of my being, is a precious offering to the world. As I honor the birth of Jesus, the example of this divine presence, I celebrate the blossoming of my own capacity to shine as a beacon of love and compassion. I share its warmth and radiance with all I connect with the Christ in me, born anew. And we breathe in that presence and we exhale, knowing that God is among us, always in us, always with us, our divine being. And now I offer you this time to speak aloud those that you want to hold in prayer, those situations, those people, the places, the monkey mind to release. To speak those words aloud lifts that up into the ethers, that all can be healed and touched. I offer you this now to speak those words aloud. My sweet family, Elaine and Mark, Elaine and Rick, my sweet Steve, my brother and his wife, and dear, dear family, my sweet mama and Al in heaven, Unity of Michiana, Reverend Sandy, Tamara, the Unity Board of Trustees, all those in need of healing, all those in need of love. As I hold this prayer box, and as you have spoken those words, we know our prayers have been heard, lifted up to sweet Spirit. We are blessed with your presence among us. We are guided by your divine light today, tomorrow, the month, the year, and we are blessed. With renewed faith and a strengthened spirit, we conclude this time of prayer as we joyously step forth into the days ahead. Amen.
I am open. I am open to the Spirit of truth. I am open, my heart is open to the living Spirit of truth. I am open, I am open, my heart is open I am open, I am open, and my heart is open. I went looking for this a song of hope a few days ago, well, several days ago, and found this Ben Harper song that I always loved. Ben Harper from "She's Only Happy When it's what is it? It only happens when there's sun." Yeah, that's his song. I used to love that song. Used to shed tears from it. So I've always been a fan, but I didn't know much about him. But anyway, I really like this. It's a unity message, but a pop song. See if it's here. I can change the world with my own two hands. I can make a better place with my own two hands. Make a kinder place with my own two hands. With my own two hands. With my own two hands. I can make peace on earth with my own two hands. I can clean up the earth with my own two hands. I can reach out to you with my own two hands. With my own two hands. With my own two hands. Gonna make it a brighter day with my own. Gonna make it a better place with my own. Gonna make it a safer place with my own. With my own two hands. I can hold you in my own two hands, and I can comfort you in my own two hands. But you've got to use your own two hands. Use your own two hands. Yeah. With our own two hands. With our own two hands. With my own two hands. Gonna make it a brighter place with my own. Gonna make it a safer place with my own. We're gonna help the human race. We can, there you go. Well, I can comfort you. But you got to. Oh, use your own two hands. Use your own two hands. Oh, use your own two hands. I can pray for hope. I can hope for love. I can hope for peace. I can hope for tranquility. I can hope for love and compassion. Love. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So here's the deal. That man has more talent in his little finger than I have in my whole body. And I cheat, okay? So when he puts the song and the title and the hubbada hubbada up on the board, I look it up online, okay? That's why I'm on my phone, because I'm following along with the lyrics. And you guys need to look up Ben Harper with my own two hands, because the lyrics are amazing. Yeah.
They're unity.
Yeah, they're unity, yeah. And this guy is, I mean, he's, yeah.
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm about to introduce a very special friend of mine. I miss her terribly. She moved to the North Carolina several years ago, but she is amongst our presence via video, via reprise of last year's message of hope for the first month of Advent. And her name is Lisa Greco, and she's unity, and she has great messages. So now I turn it over to the team and to Lisa Greco via video.
Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be here and honored to stand in for Reverend Sandy on this very important first Sunday of Advent. And I got to tell you, I really miss everyone and think of you often as I'm settling into my new life here in New Bern, North Carolina. The closest Unity Church is 40 miles away. And so I try as much as possible to connect with them via their Zoom services, and also know that I'm lurking or either actively involved in the broadcast of our Unity services from Unity of Michiana. So just want you to know that you're in my thoughts and prayers often. And a special thanks to Kevin and Susan, the technical dynamic duo, for helping to make sure that this video goes off without a hitch for you today. Okay. So I thought what we would do today, being the teacher that I am, is I would share some historical information with you about what Advent is and how it's kind of morphed over time. I thought we would take a minute or so to look at the symbolism of the different candles and icons, if you will, on the Advent wreath. And then I would like to share a little bit of perspective and some maybe helping you to rethink your paradigm about Advent as we look at what each of the separate candles means on there. I would also, if you don't mind, like to share with you some very brief little stories from my life experience as a child growing up and how Advent was presented to me and the whole concept of the Advent season. So if that's okay with you, I think we'll go ahead and get started, all right? Just keep in mind, I will try and keep my eyes into the camera at all times, but I do have some notes down here because there's a lot to go over. So bear with me if I have to look down for a few minutes or so, okay? All right, well, let's get started. And I think a good place to start is, where did the word Advent come from? You know, we have Advent calendars and Advent this and Advent services. Well, what does it mean? Well, Advent comes from the Latin word adventus, meaning the coming. And it's very interesting because originally, you know, back in the day, there was, and we'll go through this in a second, it wasn't what we thought it was, what we think of it as today. So originally, the purpose of Advent was to prepare newbie Christians, so to speak, in that time, way back, to prepare for baptism. They didn't do baptism like churches today do, where, you know, they'll have different Sundays throughout the year maybe to do baptism. They did it one time, big group baptism, was usually in the month of January, thereabouts. And so there was a time of preparation and prayer and things in preparing those people to become full-on baptized Christians. So that's kind of where it really started. There was no wreath involved or anything like that. Well, it then morphed into a time being marked by 40 days, 40. And the number 40 is very interesting to know because 40 in biblical terms represents, it's a metaphorical term for a season in life. So we all have seasons in our life. We have seasons when we're parents. We have seasons when we're teenagers. We have the season I'm in now and getting to understand the season of being retired. So it was to mark a season in like 40 days. So you also hear it in 40 years, such as Moses wandered the desert for 40 years with the Israelites. So 40, 40, 40. Anytime you hear that, that's what it's talking about. So there was no real special event tied to it when it morphed over into this. It was just a time of 40 days of prayer, fasting, and penance, and just preparing your own spiritual accountability, if you will. That's how I understand it. There's nothing really significant like the baptism as it was prior to it morphing. That's just the way it was. And still, no wreath was at play. Well, during about the 5th century, we start to see Advent become tied to Christmas as a time of anticipation, a season of preparation, prayer and penance and things like that, moving it to Christmas. And in the 6th century, then the Roman Christians tied Advent to Christmas, but their idea was not to symbolize the coming of Jesus, as we still see it today, but it was for the end times, the end times, the end of the world, when Jesus is to return. And so there was much anticipation, I guess, at that time that he was coming soon. And that's how they saw it. So that then became the Advent kind of thinking or paradigm during that time in the 6th century. So it wasn't until 1859 that we see in the literature and things where there's a mention of an Advent wreath. And this was created by a Lutheran priest who was trying to teach his congregation about this concept of a season before Christmas. And he used a cart, a wheel off of probably a hay cart or a farm cart of some sort. That was his wreath, probably laid it down on the ground, I am guessing. And then into that, he stuck 20 small red candles, and he also interspersed it or marked it with 4 white candles to symbolize the 4 weeks. Okay, so there's the 4, and then 5 candles in between for the days of the week. And he also used pine cones to symbolize the resurrection of Christ, okay? The new life through resurrection, because pine cones are seeds for, the pine trees. And then red holly berries were used on the wreath to symbolize the death and sacrifice of Christ. So those are the original symbols or icons on the wreath. And so you see different people having different things in their homes today on what their wreath looks like. It may have pine cones, it may not. It may have holly berries, it may not. It just may be candles. But they typically tend to be very beautiful, whatever they are. And so just remember, it's a time to, as it was intended, to just be intentional, is a word we use in Unity a lot, to be intentional about what's going on around us at a particular time of year. So today's wreath, and you can probably just, look over there to the one, I'm sure that's at the front of the church already, has 5 candles, 4 of them, one symbolizing each Sunday of Advent, and then a white candle in the center is the Christ candle. And so each Sunday we light a candle, we have a prayer, maybe a special reading, and that marks that Sunday. And then, we go through that each Sunday until we get to, some people light it on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, the Christ candle in the center. The 4 candles represent love, joy, hope, and peace. Love, joy, hope, and peace. And their colors can vary. Through history, they've varied. Some wreaths are 4 blue candles and a white candle in the center. Some are 4 red candles and the white candle in the center. Unity, ours is on that kind of lavender purple kind of spectrum there. And then the Christ candle in the center. So again, color in most churches is not really an issue. They have the traditional colors. In Unity, as you know, if you've ever been to a 12-power service at church, you know that color is very important. We have very specific colors for the 12 powers. So that's why we use the colors that we do. And although modern day Advent doesn't span 40 days, it's just like a little around a month, we still have the derivation of the 40 in the 4 candles. So we still see that symbolism of that season of 40. So it is a symbol of a time of our life when we ideally are in spiritual preparation. But what has happened to it? I mean, it was never, Advent was never, these few weeks before Christmas was never intended to be a countdown clock or a checklist for your to-dos for the holiday season. But I think personally, just my observations is, we've kind of gotten away from that. Yeah, we go into church on Sunday and we light the candle and we do the readings and things like that. But what are we doing the rest of the week? And it's not that I have anything against Christmas gifts, or that type of thing, but have we gotten out of balance? And I think, as a society, we have. I really do. I really think that we have gotten out of sync. And some of the symptoms of that can be the thinking that we tend to find ourselves in. So let me share a few thoughts that kind of wandered through my head, the heads of my friends as I've talked to them, or just what I hear people saying, even the chatter in the stores. This morning I was in a store and I heard some lady chattering and with her friend, and it was clearly one of these kind of mindsets. So here's what kind of tends to clog us up in the holiday season of Advent. Instead of really being in preparation spiritually, here's what kind of might sound like, oh, did I get all my gifts bought? Did I forget somebody? I know I'm forgetting somebody because you know what? Last year I had them all wrapped and ready to go. And then in like March, I was digging out my St. Patty's Day stuff and I found Christmas gifts for 2 people. Do I have everybody accounted for? Are my Christmas cards in the mail? Are people still even mailing them out? I don't know. It's getting, stamps are expensive, and I don't even want to get tangled up with e-cards. E-cards, who knows what's going on with those or where they're going to end up. I don't know. I just don't want to bother with it. I'm not technically minded anyway. I don't want to get involved in that. How are we going to deal with Uncle George? If he comes this year, he just got out of rehab and he starts his stuff again. Who's going to manage him? Who's going to keep him away from the kids? How are we going to deal with that if that happens? I hope the rehab stuck. That's all I can say. With everything I've got going on, how am I supposed to get all my stuff done and all my family stuff done and still get the kids over to the exes for their family function? How am I going to do that? Nobody is helping me. Do you know what time I have to get up every day to get stuff done just so they can go over and be with their father or their mother or whoever? It's a lot of work. I don't know if I'm up to it. And why am I going into debt buying gifts for people who don't really care? They don't really care if I give them a gift or not. And why is it I have such a struggle with that? Is it worth it? The economy is bad enough. Why am I piling more on myself? Or here's my favorite one. Every year I work my butt off to give my family a Hallmark Christmas movie kind of experience. And I'll be danged if somebody in this family doesn't mess it up. Not going to happen again this year. And I'm telling you, if it does, that's it. No more. Next Christmas, it'll be just me, my pets, and a glass of wine. That is it. Does that sound like something you might have said or thought, or you've even heard around you? And it's really sad that I think we've been imbued with this mentality that says the Christmas season starts with the Black Friday sales and ends the day after Christmas on the 75% off the Christmas wrapping and whatever else is left in the stores. And everybody is scurrying like maniacs to do it. And and it's such a crazy time, they send news crews out to cover the lines of people waiting to spend their money in the stores instead of just taking a breath and realizing that this season has, yes, a beginning and it has an ending, but it's intended to be a time of spiritual reflection. And sadly, we've missed all that. We've been conditioned to drive ourselves crazy into what a good Christmas looks like and what we should be doing. It drains our life force, doesn't it? I don't know about you, but if I am not watching it, I can be very tired and worn out at Christmas and I can't enjoy things and I get cranky and I'm quite frankly looking forward to this first Christmas where things are going to be a much slower pace. I mean, it's the South, it's going to be a little slower anyway, but just the whole thing about not having to do so much and to simply relax into what the season is all about. So if we focus on the spiritual aspect of the season, it offers us a time to go into like this temporary space, this special season of time where we can go inward and we can reflect on what it means. So what does it mean? Well, as I said, each one of those candles represents hope, joy, love, and peace. And the center one is the Christ candle. Well, the hope, love, joy, and peace are virtues that surround the presence of the Christ. So when the Christ presence is within us, we are more apt to give love, hope, joy, and peace. And doesn't the world need a little bit more of that? I don't know about you, but I can't go to TJ Maxx and buy that, right? So let's just pause for a minute and think about what we can do during this Advent season. I think what we can do is we set aside time on each week. And then remember, there's days in between. Okay, so it's a week, 7 days. We have to practice this 4 times a season to come into just a better place. And again, I'm not saying don't give up, your family traditions and things like that, but maybe just slow the roll a little bit. So for 7 days, when we light that first candle, then we can recall hope, a time in our lives when hope pulled us through a very difficult situation. When hope pulled us through a very difficult situation. And to think back at that time and to remember the goodness of spirit that got us through that time. I remember, those of you that know, my son Anthony was so sick for 7 years. Actually, it was closer to 10 by the time all was said and done, where he almost died twice. And I had nothing but hope. That's all I had. I couldn't do a thing. It was the one thing I couldn't, as his mother, kiss the boo-boo and make it go away, the pain go away. I couldn't. And all I could do was hope and pray at his bedside and walk with him through that horrible season of his life as he fought to stay alive and to stay healthy. I often think about that. That was an experience for both of us that I think really defined us. But as I look back on it now that I'm out of it and I have the perspective of looking back, I can give thanks that I know that hope does spring eternal, that hope gives us that strength to move forward. So on the week that the candle for hope is lit, I hope each day you will take time to look back just for a few minutes while you're having your coffee in the morning and go back with spirit and look for a time in your life when you really understood what hope was all about and give thanks for that time. There's a scripture in Romans 5:5 that tells us this hope will not lead to disappointment, for we know how dearly God loves us because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with love. And if we have that power going for us, we can certainly endure anything. So let's take time to give gratitude for hope. When the candle for faith is lit, faith is trusting God, trusting in God. We can set aside time during that particular week of Advent to express gratitude by recalling what I like to think of as our first encounter with knowing that Spirit was within us and that she had our back at all times. I remember first coming to Unity Church some 38 years ago, maybe 39, 38. We were over on Burke Street. Reverend Barbara was there as the minister. And I remember there were so many services in the beginning I could not go to and not cry. I mean, I just cried because somewhere in my soul, I knew I was home spiritually. I was home. And that is the faith that I feel whenever I walk into, especially a Unity Church, or I'm in communion with my Unity family and other Christian friends and others of other faiths too. We all have that if we want it and if we're willing to recognize it. So can we take time during the week that the faith candle is lit to recall our times of faith and what that means to us? The third candle that'll get lit is the candle of joy. And remember joy through perhaps the simple acts of kindness that we can do for others or that others have done for us and have given us such a joy. Do you ever pay for somebody's drink behind you at a drive-through, or do a kindness for a neighbor or something like that? Do you remember that good feeling that you had in your heart? And especially if you were able to do it without them knowing it. When we were little kids, my Aunt Stella, my mother's sister, when she would put out her nativity scene at the beginning of Advent, it was usually empty because, that whole thing hadn't happened yet, but the manger was there. And she had beside it a little basket into which she had pieces of straw. And she would tell us kids, look, every day, as many times as you I want you to do something nice for somebody else, but you can't let them know, if it's at all possible, let them know that you did that. So maybe that was something like, maybe we would go over and take in the neighbors' trash cans and put them back by their garage, because that was an elderly neighbor, and it was just easier for us kids to haul that thing back there than the elderly neighbor. Or perhaps we would, do some dusting for my aunt and, not tell her, and just, her living room would be dusted. We were kids, so we had to find little things that we could do. Here's one she always encouraged was, don't fight with each other. You can get a straw for that one too. So, and she said, and when you do that, she goes, you can take a piece of the straw and put it in the manger. And the goal is that we fill this up so that the baby Jesus has a nice place to lay. Now, the other hitch was you could not let anybody see you putting the straw in the manger. So if you have little kids, I tried this later than when Anthony was little, and it really was a good little thing. It really got him into a service mindset as much as you can with a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. But, he even remembers those times too. So the joy that came from seeing the straw in the manger grow, knowing that each one represented an act of kindness. So during that week of joy, how can you spread a little cheer? What can you do? Can you pay for somebody's meal at a restaurant? Can you do a kindness for a neighbor? Whatever it is, you'll know. And then there is the verse that I found for that is 3 John 1:4, which says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth. And isn't that what we want for everyone? Let's spread a little joy. The last one you'll light is the candle of peace. And can we set aside those times to bring a small bit of peace to the world? I mean, never more than ever do we need peace in the world. So wherever we can be that calm presence, we can step in and create a safe place for people to have a conversation where we can agree to disagree kindly and gently and lovingly. How can we go about each day during that week of peace to spread a little peace ourselves? And I think if we all do it, it can't help but have a positive shift in the world, right? And then when you finally get to lighting the Christ candle, remember that represents, the Christ presence on this earth, the awakening and the awareness of the power that is within us when we have the Christ presence within us, and that is surrounded by love, joy, hope, and peace. We welcome the Most High. We light the candle in the middle. And it's interesting as we light that candle to recall that when Christ was born, the people of the day were looking for a mighty entrance of a king. I mean, they told a king was coming. Well, how do kings arrive? They arrive in palaces. They're birthed by nobility. They have every need is met in a beautiful palace. And this king came very humbly and very simply, but with a very powerful message. So as you're lighting those candles, we're not just lighting candles. We are reigniting our awareness and our affinity with those virtues and our affinity and love for the Christ presence within us. And I'm sure if we can all do that, those little things every day during Advent, then we can stand and be in joy. And I'm reminded of an old hymn that says, "It is well with my soul." Thank you so much. Namaste.
Well, I don't know what to say after all that, but I would like, if Lisa is watching, I would like to say thank you. That is a very powerful, very informative and spiritual message. So thank you for that. It is now time to turn to our utility portion of our service. I guess the best segue is if you got something out of that message, if that spoke to you and made your heart a little lighter, maybe gave you some information that you didn't know before, anything like that, we need your support at this church. We need you to give what you can, where you can, and when you can, knowing that when you do, you are partaking in the law of giving and receiving, the reciprocity, that what you give, you will get back tenfold plus. We appreciate your gifts. We use those gifts to move our spiritual center forward, to move our message forward, and to bring you the service that we have today. We appreciate that. There are several ways to give. As you guys know, you can click the donate button is that on the app or the website? I think it's on the website. It is on the app. At the back of the sanctuary, there's a basket. We don't pass the basket around here, but we leave that basket in the back if you like to drop something in there on your way in or your way out or other time. That's fine with us too. We appreciate it all. Reverend Sanity uses the affinity symbol as the giving and the receiving of that. I think that's very powerful because it is a way of giving and receiving at the same time. You can also scan the QR code at the back of the room. It's also out in the fellowship area. I would like you to join with me as we do our offertory affirmation. So here we go. God's infinite abundance blesses my life, filling me with wonder and joy. I freely give and gratefully receive with love and celebration. Dear Spirit, we appreciate all the gifts we receive, and we use those gifts to promote the greatest and highest good for all of mankind, and for this we are grateful. Amen. And I would like you all to rise, and if you care to join us. Oh, I'm sorry, right? Announcement. How about we do some dominoes? You guys?
I don't think it's happening.
I know, yeah, that's it. But seriously, I've been wanting to announce dominoes for a while now. I don't know why I forgot. But it's really fun. That's one thing that I don't hear from this podium enough. It's a fun game, and it's super easy. All you got to do is match colors and match dots, and if you can do that, you can play. The interesting thing about Mexican dominoes is they threw in a few curveballs that make it even more fun and more exciting. So it really is a lot of fun. And today is Domino Sunday. So if you have the chance and would like to learn, or if you don't know already, it's super easy to learn. Please stay after the service and enjoy the fun. Zoom group meets Wednesdays from 6 until 7:15 for discussion and conversation, followed by meditation and music. Anybody is welcome anytime. You can get with Susan in the office. She'll give you a Zoom link to be able to join in on that. Today is the last day for our poinsettias. Poinsettias. You can purchase one of those for $15 to honor anybody in your life, anybody who is still with us that you would like to honor, anybody who has passed. You can purchase one of those. They'll put them up here and they'll stay up on the stage and go till Christmas Eve. And at that time, after the Christmas Eve service, you're welcome to take them home. It's a great way to raise a little bit of money for the church and also honor those that you wish to honor in your lives. In accordance with our bylaws, I'm going to have to read this because I'm not familiar with this. Per best practices for nonprofit corporations, that's a legal thing. Members of Unity of Michiana are asked to reaffirm their membership status on an annual basis. You may renew your membership by filling out a form in the foyer, going to our website or app, or by calling the office during regular business hours and talk to Susan. Just a reminder, you must reaffirm your membership by December 31st of this year in order to be a member in good standing and be able to participate in the annual membership meeting. I believe that's in February. Here's an exciting thing. Unity of Michiana has been gifted with a $4,000 matching tithe fund, but since that was up there, it has been raised to $5,000. So any tithes that you give, mark them specifically for the matching tithe. This would be over and above your normal regular giving. If you would care to give anything over and above that, mark it as matching tithe, and it will go into the matching tithe fund. And for every extra dollar that you give, an extra dollar will be matched as well, up to $5,000. So it's a great way to double your money and help your church at the same time. Please participate in that if you can. So I think we're ready to sing the peace song. So if you guys would care to stand, we will sing our song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be my moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And our prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds me. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love of God. The power of God protects me. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence of God. And wherever I am, God is, and we are one. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Stay for fellowship.
it a brighter place. To head with my hope to head. Gonna make it a brighter place. Brighter place. A brighter place. Gonna make it a safer place. Gonna help the human race. We can hold you, and I can comfort you. But you got to you. Oh, use your